Do I have the right mindset for a career change? So this is an interesting one, and I always refer to Dr. Carol Dweck's research. Dr. Dweck is a psychologist with Stanford University, and she spent the last 20 odd years researching mindsets, particularly in relation to people who are successful versus people who struggle. And she determines that there are two types of mindset, a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. And which camp you're in has serious implications if you are thinking about a career change. So if you have a fixed mindset, you are likely to believe that you are born with a level of intellect and ability that is effectively set in stone, right? It doesn't move, it can't change, you can't develop it. It is what it is. Whereas if you have a growth mindset, you are much more likely to believe that whilst you're born with a level of intellect and aptitude, you can absolutely do something about it and develop it through learning and kind of trial and error, and a bit of application and effort. So the reason this is important when thinking about career change is that if you have a fixed mindset, there are some really serious implications for what kind of perspective it gives you on things that actually will work against you when you're trying to change career. So for example, if you have a fixed mindset, you are likely to experience and really feel a fear of failure. So the idea of trying and failing and being seen to fail will feel particularly difficult for you because it demonstrates that you don't have the talent that someone with a fixed mindset believes is ultimately what's important. You are also likely to kind of poo-poo effort a little bit because again, effort, if you need effort in order to achieve something, it means that you don't have the natural talent in the first place, and talent is what matters. You are also likely to experience a lot of self-judgment. So if you do try new things and they don't work for whatever reason, you're likely to berate yourself, do yourself down, tell yourself you're not good enough, that you're incapable, or that, you're an idiot. And finally, you're likely to do a fair amount of compare and despair. So, benchmarking yourself against other people. And if you find yourself lacking, actually, feeling down because of that, actually, other people's success is ultimately feels like your failure. Now, all of those things completely work against you, if you are trying to move into a new field or a different type of career entirely, because what's really involved in it is a lot of experimentation, a lot of trial and error, to test things out, to see how you can move yourself from one place to another. All of my clients experience this. It's the only real way to be able to get to where you want to go. It's never ever a straightforward path, which is what we wish it was, but actually the reality is quite different. Totally doable, but it's going to probably take a few grazes along the way. Now, if you have a growth mindset, the whole career change experience can feel really quite different. And that's because you don't experience a fear of failure in the same way. You're actually much more likely to see failure as feedback, valuable feedback that helps you hone what you do next and how, until you keep going until you hit the jackpot. You're of the opinion that actually anybody can improve. It just takes continuous effort. So rather than a disdain of effort, you actually really value it. You're also likely to have a higher level of self-respect, so that when things don't work out, because there will always be things that don't, or that things feel harder than you originally imagined, rather than beating yourself up about it, you accept that actually it just is what it is, and it just requires you to just try again, and it will take a slightly different and more adapted approach. And finally, rather than a sort of compare and despair, you're much more likely to compare and compete. So, other people's success is just a bar by which to measure yourself and to try and sort of overcome and beat. So, it makes a real difference to how you approach a career change, and the feeling of that journey as you go through it. Now, depending on which mindset you feel like you're in, if you feel that you are in fact right now more in the fixed mindset than the growth mindset, fear not. You can absolutely change which perspective you have. So in my next video, I will go into a little bit more detail to kind of give you some examples of how you go about doing that.